Hi, today I'm here with James O'Brien of Stream City Radio. Hi, James.
Hey, how you doing today?
I'm great, absolutely great. Tell me a little bit about you.
Well,
first of all.
Basically ran a construction company for years and years and years.
Mm-hmm.
And when the economy kind of turned south, went more into the sales part of things. End up working for a radio station. End up on air.
Mm-hmm.
End up running their sports department. And then we've kind of saw local radio kind of disappearing. There's just not a lot of local radio. And also saw small business getting priced right out of doing radio. So
Mm-hmm.
we decided, we were big into doing high school athletics,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody's kind of gotten out of it. So we launched a series of internet radio stations that are specific to the counties, where we cover about 80 games per county,
Mm-hmm.
with baseball, softball, basketball, girls and boys, and then football, of course. But it's given us an opportunity. Also, we've got a lot of other local shows, and we 24/7 radio stations, and
Wow.
just it's providing some opportunities for local business to tell their stories at a rate they can afford,
Mm-hmm.
and it also allows us to bring unique local content to folks that it has a local interest to it.
Mm-hmm. And I noticed you said that it's an internet-based radio station. Can you tell people what is the difference between an internet, a satellite radio station, or a traditional radio station?
Basically, the difference between us and satellite, there isn't.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the way you receive it.
Okay.
We're not. A lot of the local radio or national radio have gone into like the TuneIn app. We're on that app.
Mm-hmm.
You can pick us up there like you would with any of your broadcast radio stations. The biggest difference is we don't have a broadcast signal that you can tune in on a radio. You've got to go through the internet or through one of the apps to pick us up. But in today's day and age, when most people don't have a radio in their house anymore anyhow,
Right.
the new cars, you can sync your phone up with it. And so the ability to get the shows, it's very readily available.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's really the only difference. I mean, we've got standard commercials. We do, on Monday afternoons, we do a drive show with the weather and the traffic and the whole 9 yards,
Mm-hmm.
and we're expanding that, and it's driven by obviously the number of advertisers we have. The more we have, the more local content we bring. We do the same thing with our sports. As we get more sponsors in a county, we'll actually start adding games and
Mm-hmm.
potentially even other sports, depending on the number of sponsors we have involved.
Right. And so your service area includes Coweta, Fayette, Clayton, Henry, and
Douglas County.
And South Fulton.
Right, and we're actually going to be launching into Cobb in the fall.
Oh, wow. That's
So.
great. So you're expanding. And I noticed that most of your programming is sports-based. Are you planning on expanding that?
Yeah, we're absolutely trying to build out more and more of the local programming
Mm-hmm.
that's outside of sports. Sports, just couple things. We kind of look at there's some backbones to what creates community.
Mm-hmm.
Sports in the high schools is a big part of our communities. We're reaching out to churches, giving them the ability to do broadcasts.
Mm-hmm.
The nonprofits, we're trying to build out some shows around our local nonprofits, and then the arts. Those four legs to me kind of are what make a community. And what we've had happen in these days, the world's gotten so big that we've kind of lost our sense of community.
Right.
And the internet's been one of the reasons that's happened. And we're trying to use the internet to kind of bring the community feel back.
Mm-hmm.
And so yes, doing shows like we've got one from the Inkwell, where we're going to be doing local authors. We're looking at doing some, like I said, the nonprofit shows, the churches. And we're open to different ideas. We can play with things that traditional radio just simply wouldn't be willing to do, simply because we don't have the overhead that a traditional radio station has, and we don't need the sponsorship dollars to be as high to be able to do shows that we feel like are important that might not on a regular radio station be quote unquote commercially viable. We can afford to bring more targeted interests and do some shows like that. As a matter of fact, we just launched one with Coweta Pawn, talking about the pawn business. And
Oh, that sounds interesting.
you know what? I think it's going to be a really good show. They did their first one the other day. Robert is a character. He's going to be interesting to listen to. Has a ton of knowledge. And, that has become something that, you've got the cable TV shows that do that kind of stuff, but to be able to do it on a local basis, I think it's going to be a really cool show. We're looking forward to that one.
And he has a lot of unique things that come
really
through
does.
his shop.
He really does.
It'll be interesting for him to showcase the things that
Right.
are interesting and different.
No doubt about it. And, when people think of traditional pawn shops, you're thinking, well, maybe not real organized, a lot of old tools, and just that's not really. Sure, he's got some of that stuff, but he has a deeper knowledge in coins and memorabilia and stuff like that that really draw a much wider interest than a traditional, what you think of maybe as a traditional pawn shop. And I think there's some misunderstandings with some people what a pawn shop really is sometimes.
I think so too. It's going to be interesting. He has a separate shop that deals with his higher end, merchandise. Waterford crystal, all sorts of different things that you wouldn't expect to find in a pawn shop.
Right, and that makes it. It's almost veers more into the antiques and the art world, and so to be able to kind of touch on both of those in one show, which that's become a huge people really like that kind of stuff, to bring the character into your house and have more than just something that you bought at a big box store.
And back to your service area, where do you see the majority of your audience coming from? What counties?
Right now, the majority of our audience, Coweta County is probably our biggest. We do all of Noonan and all of East Coweta's football. We were a little bit more well known there. Fayette County is right behind it. Douglas County right now is probably our third. But we're building an audience pretty quickly in South Fulton. And it really is driven by the number of high school sporting events we do in those counties. It has just been a great way to kind of penetrate and get into the fabric of the counties through the high school athletics. Because one, for advertisers, you're kind of hitting people right where that listening audience for high school sports isn't necessarily what people automatically think. People go, well, it's high school kids. No, it's their parents and their grandparents. And that's the folks that advertisers want to get in front of. And one of the things that we're able to do that traditional radio can't do is we replay all of our games. So a Friday night football game is going to replay a couple times on Monday. We'll replay those in the summertime also. And, it gives the coaches, the players, the families an opportunity to be at the game, but then to listen to it as well.
And, back, in the beginning you said that you want to do more with nonprofits. What nonprofits are you wanting to target for your market?
Well, really for the nonprofits, we want to do a couple things. We know nonprofits face a couple of challenges today. People want to know that how much of their money is actually going towards whatever it may be. They want to know that their money's not going to just pay for a building and, paperwork shuffling. They want to know it's actually helping what they're trying to help. So knowing that, and then also knowing that people want it to stay in their community. That's a big part of it. People want to help their neighbors. And so one of the things that we want to do with that is we kind of put a couple caveats on any nonprofit we're going to work with. They have to be at the 85% or higher mark, which is kind of considered the gold standard of dollars spent on their mission. And the other part is we want 80% of their money to be staying in the county that it's being spent in. And most of the smaller nonprofits, that's going to be the case. It's really kind of surprising, though, some of the nonprofits that you might think would fall into that category that don't. And, we feel like by doing that, we can help them reassure people looking for, missions to sponsor that these are missions that are spending your money the way they want it spent and spending it where you want it spent.
When also, too, offering your services and stuff for the nonprofits, it lets people be aware of what is in their community in case that they may need some support in a certain area.
Right, because a lot of times there are great missions going on in our local communities that people have no clue about.
Right.
You know, and the reality is, in today's day and age, there are a lot of people in need. And a lot of times it's not long-term need, it's a shorter-term need. And, you know, there are government programs that'll help you if you're in need long-term. You kind of fall through the cracks with government assistance if it's something where it's, you know, I'm between jobs. You know, had an issue with my housing situation. That's where the local community help really steps in and can help people out. And that's the programs that people aren't as aware of. And that's the programs that a lot of people are probably more in need of than these longer term assistance situations.
If people want advertising with you, how do they get in contact with you?
It's very easy. You can go to streamcity.org. There's a contact us button. You click on it. And one of the things we can do is we want to sit down and talk with you, understand your business. You know, I could put a sales thing together for anybody, but we need to understand your business. Who are you trying to reach? What are the challenges that you have with your business? Is it location? Is it awareness? Is it, you know, people don't know about your product, they don't know about your business. So we can kind of educate people on what you see as your challenges. And the other part is we're going to put something custom together for you. It may be that high school athletics isn't the place you want to be. You might be more interested in doing the nonprofit shows involved with the churches, the local programming, the arts. And we can kind of pair you up and put you with, you know, what makes the most sense to you. Because nobody knows your business better than you do. I can put something together and it makes all the sense in the world to me, but if it doesn't resonate with you, you're not going to be interested in it. So we really try and listen to folks and make sure that we're providing them the best service we can.
That sounds great. And I'm sure that anyone who hears this will want to take advantage of that opportunity.
It's targeted at small business. We're not chasing corporate money. You know, if we wanted to do that, we could be selling for one of the big radio stations in downtown Atlanta.
What are your demographics and who are listening to your programming?
Well, and it kind of depends, but basically a good overview of it. The majority of our listening audience is going to be from 30 to about 55, 60. That's kind of the vast majority of it. You know, with the high school sports, when we do the replays, that's when we tend to pick up more of the kids. The listen live portion of it tends to be more targeted towards that 30 to 55, 60 demographic. That's kind of our demographic. We skew actually just slightly more female than male, which would surprise people considering you're looking at you know, a lot of sports content. Now, we've got certain shows, our afternoon college show, that's going to skew heavily male. But the high school sports and all that actually skew just slightly female. It would surprise some folks, but moms are going to listen. You know, grandmas are going to listen.
Right.
And so that's kind of our demographic. We are having about 35,000 individual listeners on a month. And the way it tracks it for us is it gives us IP addresses. We don't ever see those, but every time a new device logs on to listen, it counts that. That computer, iPhone, whatever, could log on 100 times. It will only be counted one time. And so we get a very good shot of what our individual listeners are. It doesn't tell us how many times they come back, but we know on a given month, right now we're at about 35,000 listeners. And we've been growing by a couple thousand every month. So the growth's good. We're really excited to get back into football season and see, you know, especially with Cobb County coming online, what happens to those numbers.
Right. So are you going to continue to focus on the sports programming? You did say that you were going to diversify some of your programming. Can you tell people what other things besides sports that they could?
Sure, absolutely. Well, on top of the churches and nonprofit stuff, like I said, we want to do some stuff with the arts, music. We would like to do a show with local musicians. we feel like giving them an opportunity, giving them a voice, putting people in touch with the local music would be something that, one, will help our local artists, but there's some interest there.
Right.
And then the show with the local authors from the Inkwell. We've even we're entertaining the options and looking at ideas with local artists. And we will be doing a lot with local sports in the fall. We'll have individual shows on for a lot of the colleges, kind of talking about what's going on in their athletic programs. But once again, you're kind of skewing back to the sports there. So, we're kind of at a crossroads where we entertain ideas. If you've got an idea for a show and you're seeing this, and you think, man, I think we could let us know. We'd be happy to talk with you, and if we can help you develop an idea and we can come up with something that's got some local interest, we're 100% open to that. And that's one of the things that makes us very different than a traditional radio station, where the programming's got to be so nailed down and specific and very narrow, and we're not tied to that. We can be very inventive and open to new things, and if somebody wants to try something for 6 months, hey, we're willing to give it a shot if it's something that we feel like will resonate with folks and have some local interest.
That sounds wonderful. Now, back to your other things on your site, your programming. I noticed that you have a doctor also.
We do. We've got a couple of shows that have more of a national interest. They're not actually from the area, and we're open to that when it's something that we feel like people locally want to hear about. We've got Dr. Sue's show, and basically she's dealing with issues with divorce or just difficult parental situations. How do you deal with, one of the things that we've seen that's become a huge issue in divorce is alienation. Right. The parents using kids in an effort to get money out of what becomes the opposition. And she kind of helps people understand where some of that's coming from, deal with it in a healthy way for the kids to minimize damage to the kids, and also to make people aware of maybe their actions are damaging their kids and they don't even know it.
Right.
So that's a big part of it. And then we've got the Keith Edmonds show, and he is basically, he is a survivor of child abuse. And his big thing is, yes, he talks about abuse, but his big thing is getting out of the victim mentality, whether it's through abuse or whatever. It's very easy through circumstances for us to succumb to, oh, why me? And he does a very good job of helping people refocus. He had a very difficult situation that he's worked his way through, and didn't happen overnight. And it's just, to me, it's just kind of that beacon on the hill that gives you, no matter how dark your situation may be, that yes, you can rise above it. And it's a very inspirational show to me. And we've got a couple other doctors that we're actually in talks with right now, to where we can bring people more local medical information, maybe not, along less traditional lines. People are always very interested in, everybody wants to eat better these days. Supplements are huge, but which supplements do I take? So we've got some shows like that are coming that will help people with their overall health as well.
That sounds wonderful. So, in closing, it seems to me that you're small, but you're growing, and people need to stay tuned and be interested, and be proactive in giving you some help in what they want to see and hear.
We're very excited about the direction things are going. When we first started out, we were only broadcasting 12 hours a day. We're 24/7 now. We replay our shows at multiple different times to make it as easy as possible. We've just are now getting set up where we're going to have all of our shows on demand on iTunes, where people can go listen to them anytime they want. We'll be able to do that with our sports as well. So we're real excited about the direction things are going. The great part for our advertisers, if we do a replay of a football game, we put it on iTunes, all the advertisers stay in. So it's just additional listens that those folks get.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you so much for your time today.
Well, thank you.
And again, remind everyone where they can find you.
Very simple. It's streamcity.org. You go on there. There's a button for each individual county. You can click on it. It will show you the schedule of the shows that are coming on. We do all our live sports on the front page. Just make it very easy. There's a play button. You just click it and you're listening.
Well, that's great. Well, thank you so much for your time, James.
Well, thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us with another edition of Community Spotlight.